Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bonin. Thank you all for joining me. So, unfortunately, 30 people in Baltimore, Maryland were shot and 2 have died from this shooting. This happened at around 12:30 Sunday morning. This is 12:30 Sunday morning. And 30 people were shot, 2 died from the incident. So I'm going to get right into this article and we're going to get into our commentary. But this is so unfortunate. My prayers go out to the family members of the deceased. But the article says 30 people were shot, 2 of them fatally, at a block party in gun-controlled Baltimore, Maryland, Sunday just after 12:30 a.m. The Associated Press reports an 18-year-old woman and a 20-year-old man were killed in the incident. The Daily Mail noted 3 of the wounded were in critical condition. There were hundreds of people at the party when shots rang out. In Baltimore Mirror, Brandon Scott seemed to indicate more than one person was behind the shooting. He said, "But what we do know is that this was a recklessly cowardly act that happened here and that has permanently altered many lives and cost 2 people their lives. And I want those responsible to hear me and hear me very clearly. We will not stop until we find you, and we will find you." Like, they're really scared, right? Mike Bloomberg affiliated Everytown for Gun Safety ranks Maryland the number 8 state in the union for gun control. Gabby Giffords' gun control group pointed out that Maryland has a red flag law, universal background checks, a high-capacity magazine ban, strict regulations on ghost guns, an assault weapons ban, and licensing requirements for handgun purchasers, among other controls. And that's the end of that article right there, straight to the point. Once again, my prayers and heart go out to the family members of the deceased of this horrible incident. We're seeing and hearing about more and more acts of gun violence all over the city, all over cities, all over this country. I just did a video about 2.5 minute video last night, and you guys have already seen of a gun incident right across the street, basically from where I work. You know, it took place on Ontario. You guys have seen the video. It took place on Ontario. I had just, gotten off from work, and you saw the video of me filming it. But this took place around between the hours of 10 and 11. And it shocked everyone. I mean, we all ran back inside Tower City, but it shocked everyone. And I find it ironic that this incident here in Baltimore, Maryland would occur basically just about right after, like a couple of hours after, rather, the incident happened in Cleveland. So it's just crazy how we see this kind of stuff happening. But once again, my prayers go out to the family members of the deceased. This is terrible, terrible, terrible. Now, first things first, I want to point out that the persons that committed this act of violence, let me be very clear on this, is that even though this is one of the number 8 on the gun control list or whatever, this does not indicate that the person that committed this act of violence with these guns is a criminal. I want to point that out in all fairness. This could have been someone that just cracked. This could have been someone that got into an argument, who was a relatively law-abiding person, got into a heated argument and decided to start shooting, okay? This can happen. This can happen. The article doesn't give any details on this because it just happens, This can happen. You can have people that are law-abiding citizens, and down through the years, or maybe something happened down through the years, they get hardened and they decide to just go wacko, or maybe perhaps something happened at some volatile situation happened, and at any moment they just snapped. It can happen. This can happen to anyone. I consider myself a relatively sane person, okay, who has self-control over my mind and over my emotions. Okay, but I myself could snap. Okay, it can happen. And there's no way of determining a person's state of mind. You can give all kinds of psychological tests. Someone even suggested you do a psychological test before someone buys a gun. Who's going to spend the money and the time to do that? That's just not practical. The only thing you can do is stand by. It's nothing you can do. If the person doesn't have a record of felonies or record, whatever, all you can do is just give them their guns. They don't have a record, so give them their guns. Let them buy their guns. But the point is that Baltimore, Maryland here has some of the strictest gun laws around, and yet 30 people get shot. 30 people. Let me go back over that. Let's go back over that. I got to go back over that because that's almost hard to believe that that 30 people were shot. I mean, isn't that what it was? 2 people died, but it's 30 people were shot, 2 of them fatally. 30 people, folks. 30 people. What was they doing? What in the world was someone thinking to shoot 30 people at a block party? Just a crying shame. But once again, this is made into a political situation. And Democrats, of course, jumping all over it, saying we need to end this gun violence. We get tired of gun violence. Woo, woo, woo. But Baltimore, Maryland has some of the strictest gun laws, and yet people, or this person rather, or these individuals decided to gun down 30 different people or to shoot at, I don't know, maybe they went crazy and started shooting at random, whatever. I mean, to put it to you another way, strict gun laws are not stopping people from committing these mass murders. Having stricter gun laws is not the answer to this kind of stuff. It's not. I don't know how else to explain it, but it is not the answer. It is not the answer. Gun control is not the answer. That is an excuse that these socialist politicians who are posing as Democrats is trying to use to take guns away from every one of us so that we will not have the ability to defend ourselves against a law enforcement force that's going to work for the government in order to suppress people who speak against the government. That's all that's going to be about. They know that. But it's their way of creeping in through the back door to create legislation behind our back that will keep us from being able to defend ourselves against them. That's the issue. Guns were allowed in this country in terms of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. They were allowed to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government. This is the situation that was happening in Britain. And this is why the founding fathers created that law, so that citizens within America would be able to defend themselves against a tyrannical government. That was the real reason why the guns were given. Okay, that was the real reason why basically citizens within the colonies were allowed to have guns, to be able to defend themselves against a tyrannical government, not just to protect themselves against criminals. That was the real reason. Now, the politicians in our government are trying to create all these excessive gun laws, okay, in order to discourage people from buying a gun. The point is to make you think and feel, what's the point in buying a gun if I got to go through all of these kind of laws and regulations and this and that? What's the point in buying a gun? So what happens? You don't buy a gun. Meantime, not only are you vulnerable against the thugs that want to rob you and hurt you and do damage to you and your family, but you also are opened up to a tyrannical government, because there are countries, okay, right now that would literally gun you down if you speak against the government. If you go against the regime and you speak against them, I've seen videos of it. It was this one particular, I'm not going to say exactly where the country took place, but it was certainly within America, where these individuals were getting married. It was at a wedding. They were getting married, and they were playing music that was not considered conducive to the belief systems of that particular government. And guess what happened? They sent a hit squad. They saw the video, sent a hit squad of armed men. They went in and started shooting up everyone. Shot the bride and the groom and shot up a few of the other people. Now, had they had guns, they'd have been able to defend themselves. But guns and weapons were taken from these individuals in this particular country so that they could not defend themselves. It's the same principle here in America. We have the same kind of people in our government, local, state, and federal, who are trying to do the same thing. That's what that's all about. That's what that's all about. It has nothing to do with protecting you. It has nothing to do with protecting me. It has to do with protecting their regime. That's all that's about. When is American people going to wake up and see that? I don't know. But that's what I believe. That's what I have studied, and that's what I see. But once again, this is unfortunate that this happened. Once again, my prayers go out to the family members of those who have lost. This is a tragic, tragic event. But it took place in a city that has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Explain the rationale explain that. Somebody explain that to me, because it does not make sense. The problem is not guns. The problem is the people. The people are whacked out. Their minds are whacked out. They're becoming less and less human. Their DNA is being changed. Yeah, I know I'm sounding conspiratorial, but there's a lot that goes into that. Their DNA is being changed with certain things being put in their bodies, okay? But their DNA is being changed. They're becoming dumber, and they're becoming more ignorant. They're becoming more. Their brain is being dumbed down to the point where they can't even think. They can't even listen. They won't follow directions. You'll try to explain things to them in the simplest terms, and they still look at you like a deer caught in a headlight. They don't understand anything you're saying. I'm not exaggerating. This is literally how these people act. I see it all the time. I deal with it all the time while I work. And I'm not trying to say that because I'm not trying to say that that's all over, because, this is my own personal experiences and observations, okay? But I read about it and I see it in different areas, in videos that I watch throughout the week, rather, okay? And I see this kind of stuff all the time. I can see it in their face. They act like they don't know what you're talking about when it's simple, but it's because their minds have been dumbed down. They can't think. The stuff they're putting in their body have damaged the neurons in their brain. And I'm not being funny, but this is just true. It is what it is. It is what it is. And so people have gotten to the point where they don't even understand. And their ability to control themselves is getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And now you could just say something or look at them the wrong way, and they think you're trying to challenge them, and they're ready to shoot you. It's just ridiculous. But I believe I know what's going on, and I believe a lot of other people know what's going on. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want. But at the end of the day, when it's all over, people are going to be asking questions. But this is what I wanted to bring out. What do you guys think about this tragic situation? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.